We are back in action, back to our weekly pods. Welcome back to the Town Tailgate Podcast. The season is 3 weeks away. Julio, you excited?
So close. I can taste it. That and the vaccine, right around the corner, baby.
And I can taste this beer because it's St. Patrick's Day, and we got our St. Patty's Day
Hey-o!
gear on. Wearing some green.
As I'm drinking Modelo.
I got my A's Clover shirt on, and we're gonna do a quick celebration while we pod, and then we're gonna celebrate later tonight. St. Patty's Day in the middle of the week is a little bit weird, but we're getting used to it.
So for the record, for us, for the listeners, we're not going to get too far into this. Chris and I both live in LA, except he lives on the west side, I live on the east side. Are there like stuff you can actually do right now?
Yeah, so I live in El Segundo, and all of downtown El Segundo is outdoor dining. They've blocked off, parking spaces and stuff like that, and they're huge. But on top of that, LA, I found this out last night. A friend of mine told me, LA is allowing indoor dining now. That happened on Monday. That was news to me.
Yep.
I came back this weekend from hanging out for my buddy Xavier's birthday, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm driving through downtown El Segundo and everybody's inside instead of outside. But, to each their own. It makes sense. The rates are plummeting. So it is what it is. But yeah, me and some friends are going to meet up down there and have some drinks and some Irish car bombs and not get too crazy because we have to work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, and I'm a part Irish. I actually recently did 23andMe, and obviously half of me is Mexican. My dad is full Mexican. There's no debating that. 23andMe proved that, which we all knew. Just look at my skin. But my mom is like a mutt, and for the longest time we thought that she was half German. It turns out she's only 8% German, and I'm even more Irish than I thought. First, we only thought we were like an eighth Irish, but we're actually like 40% Irish. It's pretty crazy. So this holiday's for me.
There you go. You got this, and you got Cinco de Mayo.
So anyway,
Cinco de Mayo is not really a Mexican holiday, but yeah.
I mean,
what do we got today?
It's kind of an American holiday. All right, so today's episode, we're gonna start with the A's, obviously, with the big three. We'll talk about rotations, killing it in spring training. Hopefully, that can carry over to the regular season with one minor hiccup and injury to one of our guys. The Mats are back in action. Hopefully, they are the modern day Bash Brothers. And then for these next 3 episodes, so there's 3 weeks up until the regular season, folks. And every single episode, we are going to do some form of a season preview for the entire league. So we've decided to split up in 3 regions. We're going to do the East, the Central, and then the West. And that's for both leagues. So on today's episode, and we're going to bring in guests to talk about it, guests who specialize in those regions, because I mean, to be honest with you, I don't watch that much AL or NL East, so they're going to probably inform me more. But today we got the Schlatter brothers coming on, and they're going to second half. It's more like 75% of this podcast, actually. They're going to do some an AL and NL East preview with us, and then next week we'll do the Central with our one of our buddies, and then we'll do the West at the end of that. So let's jump into it. First off, we'll start it off with the fourth outfielder situation. It seems like no matter where we go, Julio, we can't get an answer on who the fourth outfielder is going to be. You could tell the A's are really keeping this close to the chest. They do not want to reveal it. It seems like it's down to 2 guys. It was down to 3. Buddy, I'm blanking on his last name. Help me out here. Buddy Reed.
I was going to say Buddy Hield. I'm like, nope.
Yes, yeah. Buddy Reed was kind of the front runner going into yesterday. He had a batting practice session, had some sore left, I think it was sore left side of his back or something like that. Had an MRI today. Sounds like it's not looking good. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But it's basically down to 2 people now. Kai Tom, the Rule 5 pickup, and then Seth Brown, who was back in 2009, had a 2-week. He's one of the classic A's.
2019.
One of the A's classic 2-week phenomenons, and then kind of falled off. Normally, this, when we asked Alex about this, we didn't really get an answer. I read a very interesting article from the love of my life, my future wife, Katie Wu, who talks about it a little bit today. I'm just kidding. And, normally this wouldn't be that big of a deal, but Ramon Laureano also got hurt today. It looks like he's going to be out for opening day, which slides Mark Canha over to center. So this spot is a lot more important than we originally thought, Julio.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer to hear about Buddy. He was honestly, we just heard this news about him earlier today about Bomel saying he's going to be extended out for an extended amount of time, and he was honestly has been one of the highlights, if not the highlight of spring training so far. His bat started cooling off, but he was really hitting well the first week and a half, 2 weeks of spring training. He was playing excellent defense up there. He had a couple of like highlight throws in the field. But I think another person we should bring up, because we were talking about him for a hot minute, and that was Luis Barrera. He was really hitting the shit out of the ball for a hot minute. We were kind of calling him like the new Tommy LaStella, because he was not striking out for a good while. But I think after we said that, the strikeouts started going up.
What were the numbers that I sent you? I think it was 2 days ago. It was like he was hitting like 3 something, right? Wasn't it? It was like an insane amount, and like it was going so under the radar. And I was like, why aren't people talking about him?
He's dipped back. He's 267 now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was somebody that the org was pretty high on him in the farm system. I think the one thing we should probably feel a little bit confident going into the season is I think we're in pretty good hands in terms of the minors. We were pretty pessimistic for a minute because like we were seeing a lot of these like top 100 prospect lists. No ways were showing up on there. But between guys like Correa, seeing, Buddy Reed coming out of nowhere, the A's seem pretty high on Greg Diekman and then Cody Thomas as well. And it's starting to seem like it's turning around. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of what the outfield is going to do is our fourth outfielder position. Did you listen to? Yeah. Did you listen to the game? I'm assuming, right? Or try to find if we have time.
No, I didn't have time today.
Also, we should probably let's quick bitch sesh about this or complaint sesh.
Hold on, let's stay on topic and then we'll bitch sesh.
Okay, cool. Anyways, Jed Lowry hit a home run today. He hit a home run yesterday. He had a double today because like Jessica Kleinschmidt said, death, taxes, and Jed Lowry doubles. And Korak made a good point. He's like, don't be shocked if, opening day comes around and Jed Lowry's your starting second baseman. And if he is your starting second baseman going into the season, you're in fantastic shape in terms of that fourth outfielder spot. Because then Chad Pinder can become your everyday left fielder while Tony Kemp can go play out some there. So it's weird that, I think we both wanted kind of the more exciting pick. We wanted more of the name. Of course, I was clamoring for my dude Cespi. He's right there somewhere.
I mean, you wanted that. I didn't want that.
No, I said that. I said I was hyping him up
because I thought you said we. I'm like, I don't remember saying.
No,
that.
I was saying we more wanted a more well-known name. I don't know who was your guy that you were like, oh, we should go after blank person if they're available.
I told you I didn't want it. I felt like that spot like belonged to Chad Pinder. And I know Chad Pinder is very valuable as a utility guy, but I think he's more valuable in the outfield, and I think that we have more depth in the infield. So I was willing to I would rather him focus more out there, but I just felt like we had plenty of stuff in house, which actually brings me to a point I want to touch on that you brought up about the farm system. So I think the worries weren't, and honestly, we didn't really have this worry until Jessica brought it on when she was on with us a couple months ago, when she said how depleted the farm system was. And then me and you looked at it and we're like, damn, you're right. But the issue with the farm system is, and I kind of said this to her in that episode, all those guys are major league ready now. So we shouldn't be surprised that they're producing. It's just about our future. Our future is in jeopardy because all those guys all those trades we made back in 2014, after we blew it in the wild card to stock up the farm system, all those guys are here and ready. All those guys we made those trades and all the draft picks that we made, they're here and ready to play. So they're gonna produce. It's just about 3 years from now, what's life gonna look like? And but that's 3 years from now problem. Right now, yeah, we're good. I mean, spring training is spring training. You can say what it is. You can say what you want about it. I remember when Eric Sogard was hitting like 450 in spring training back in like 2013, and everybody was like, oh shit, like he's going to be such a great member. And then, he was what he was. So, but I'm confident. We're starting this off because this is the big story, but I wouldn't say this is a worry of mine. The fourth / going to be third outfielder.
No, it's I think just seeing the play on the field over the last few weeks, from not just kind of the fourth outfield spot guys who like the Kai Tom just started playing. I think Monday was his first game, but he's hitting 500, so he's looking pretty solid so far. Seth Brown, we already talked about him 2019 and that limited time he had out in the team.
He's had a lot of at bats this spring though, and it's not looking good. I don't see a world where he wins that job based off of that.
Now the other thing too with Kai Tom is he has to be on the roster or he's going back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with Danny Jimenez the other day. Danny Jimenez, if you guys forgot who he was one of the Rule 5 guys the A's picked up from Toronto back like in December. He is not going to be on the roster, and because of that, they have to ship him back to Toronto.
And that's something, if you're Bob Melvin, to be concerned about, considering all these injuries that we're getting to our outfielders. Do you want to lose another one and have to do next man up?
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting because as much as I love Buddy Reed or love seeing out of him, it sounds like there's the team, and I think Cleveland was also pretty high on Kai Tom, and you got to give this guy a shot. So I think at the end of the day, he'll make the roster. And then,
look, it's a 2-game sample size, but it's not bad. I mean, 6 at bats, he's doing well. I mean, let me see what kind of. He's only scored 1 run. He's brought in 2, 1 double and all singles. I mean, you can't fuck around with this shit right now with Buddy and Ramon going down. You just can't fuck around with it, man. You need him. I think he's the guy.
I gotta say, they'll kind of, if you want to highlight something that's pretty nice too, Mark Canha, 7 walks. 7 walks and 17 at bats.
That's our boy,
leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
I've drunk the leadoff hitter Canha Kool-Aid, by the way, if you haven't been able to tell.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was in from when I first heard it. I was like, damn, that makes so much sense. Like the guy walks. I think there is a luxury though, being where this sounds terrible, but being where in the outfield we had the injury to the starting outfield, because Canha can just plug right into center. If Canha was the one who went down, I mean, all these guys kind of are left fielders, so we'd be fine. But if we had to, like, if Steven Piscotty went down too, there's not much like luxury to moving guys around. Where Canha's are really our only utility outfielder, where he can play all 3 everywhere. Positions and play them at a high level. Where Ramon can play a right field at a pretty high level, but it's a different world for him out there. And Piscotty only plays right, so it's just like there's luxury to still having Canha available and being able to move him around where you can and get guys rest because he can slot in wherever. All right, so let's move on to rotation.
Rotation domination.
Do you have that tweet that what's his face posted today where it showed the numbers?
Yes, I can pull it up. Go ahead and just do the chat now.
Everybody's killing it. I mean, there's not really much to say. Everybody's just killing it. AJ Puck had his first start today, or first appearance today, so we don't necessarily know what we completely have out of him. He's been hurt all spring training, but he's healthy now, which he will likely take that spot. And if you have not heard, Mike Fiers had an injury last week. It didn't seem like it could be that severe, but then MRI came back. It looks like it is. He will not be ready for opening day. It sounds like he's going to miss a couple weeks into the season. So one guy is going to have to pick up that slack, probably cover, I would say, 2 to 3 starts. It's looking like AJ Puck, but I don't know. So Caprillion and Jeffries, they're still on the roster. They didn't get moved down.
I'd have to double check on that in a second. Okay, yeah, look that up while I'll read off this. So this is from Ricky Henderson of Blogs Twitter account. One, if you're not following Ricky Henderson of Blogs, do so. Fantastic information about the team out there. But he recently tweeted, A starter so far, Chris Bassett, 6.2 innings. Has given up 2 runs total, 7 strikeouts. Jesus Luzardo, he had 6 innings. He had a rough outing yesterday, in Tuesday the 16th, where he gave up I think 5 runs, but still 8 strikeouts through 6 innings. Sean Manaea looked awesome. He only gave up 1 run in his 3 innings pitched, but also a nice thing to see from him. His fastball velocity is going up. It sounds like that's something he really wanted to work on in the offseason, just to tick it up, even though like 1 or 2 miles per hour more. Frankie, late to the spring training start because of COVID. But in his first start, he also looked great. 3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts.
He gave up a lot of runs considering how many innings he pitched, though. That's the only concern. Sorry, keep going.
Frankie?
Yeah.
He didn't give up any runs.
Was it Frankie or was it never mind. Keep going.
No, Jesus Luzardo was the one who got
Luzardo.
Yeah, there was also one of the runs was unearned. He probably should have got out of that inning because I was listening, and there was an error by Elvis as short. And then AJ Puck today, he only pitched 2 innings, 2 hits. He gave up 2 runs, but he 3 strikeouts in the first inning. He finished with 4 total. That being said, I'm kind of interested to see where Baumel is going to handle this, because we have to keep Puck really tethered, for the lack of better words,
Yeah.
He's been so volatile in terms of his health. We just got to make sure that like we're not putting him out there. The team isn't putting him out there and in a situations where maybe he's not ready to go 3-4 starts in a row. But to be honest, the guy that I'm really liking so far, and I was kind of interested in him and when they added him, was Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin was a guy the A's picked up from the Phillies. He had a pretty good minor league career. He got pulled up into the Philly org, and he just got rocked in 2019. I think he pitched a little bit last year, but not too much. But so far, he has started 2 games. He's pitched in 3. He's pitched 8 innings total, and he's given up 2 runs. He's got a 1 ERA, 7 strikeouts. To me, I like to see him, because I think as an organization, you really haven't had much to see out of this guy. We kind of know what to expect out of Puck at this point, because he's been in the system for 3-4 years at a high level at this point.
Yeah.
And
he went to Oregon.
Or just do a rotation of guys. And you can try Puck 1 start. You can see if Cole Irvin can go in for another start. Treat it like an extended spring training.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So this guy Irvin has never started a game. Oh no, he started 3 games in the major leagues. Okay, well, but he played 16 games out of the Phillies bullpen in 2019. It seems like he's more of a bullpen guy. I would like to see one of the starters, the young starters in there, and see what they can do against. These are 3 guys who have been in our system for a while, who we have no idea what they do, and we've been kind of like clamoring to see. So it would be really nice to see what they can do on a major league regular season game. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, his stats are pretty fucking good. I'm looking at him right now. I mean, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Starting games in spring training is not the same as starting games in regular season, because like they just throw pitchers out there just to get, wherever, just to get experience. So
also,
one quick thing.
All right, go.
Shout out to Ricky Henderson of Blogs. That's Alex Espinosa. He also writes for NBC Bay Area. He's a friend of the pod and our Twitter account, so we just want to give him a shout out. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But also, whoever you're going to be as the start, I'm sure you might have to make adjustments. I don't know, but whoever is going to be this number 5 while Fires is out, you have him going against the Dodgers, the Astros, and then the Tigers. So good luck.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm bummed. If that was Mike Fires, he could have pitched in Houston in front of fans.
That would have been great, because they all would have booed him, and then the rest of the country would have fucking hated Houston even more.
Tangent before we jump to the next thing. I got to bring this up because I don't think you've brought it up yet. Chris is going to open the opening day.
I am.
Hell
My
yeah.
season got their season. My parents got their season tickets back, and they're using one of them for opening day. So I'm gonna be there. So, well, if work doesn't interfere, which doesn't look like it will, so we'll see. All right, let's
And
move on to
they
our
might get a
last.
little come down something.
What's that?
As he might be coming down with something,
What? Get the fuck out of here. Oh, at work? Yeah, yes. And then my boss sees me on TV at opening day, like, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be many fans in the stands, so they're gonna have to cut to all 11,000 of them. All right, so let's do the last ticket on the big three, and then we'll go into the season preview after the break. But the Mats are back. The Mats are back.
Matt time.
So the only like depressing stat amongst these from these two guys is Chappie's only hitting 238. But
It's actually worse now.
he's hitting the shit out of the ball though. Like his 2 home runs in the have are just fucking. It's great. Matt Olson's hitting. He's doing much better. He's hitting 362 or 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. 909 slugging percentage. Wow, that's pretty.
He
impressive.
looks awesome. He talked about, he straight up was honest, and it's kind of interesting to hear. He's like, I sucked last year. His power was still there, but like we talked about this a lot towards the end of the season on the pod last year. It was just like, he's not a 200 hitter. We've seen enough of him to know that his low was going to be like 260s, 250s. There's no way he's going to be, I can't remember what his average was at the top of my head, but he was like low 200s. There's no way he was going to hit like that. And so far during spring training, again, grain of salt, knock on wood, spring training, he's really crushed it. And Chappie, he's not there yet. But he's made some fantastic plays over at third. It doesn't look like the hip is an issue at all anymore. And honestly, as long as his power is there, you pointed it out, the home runs he has hit they weren't little dinkers just over left field wall. They were like 20. It was like if there were rows, it would be like 10, 15 rows back home runs.
But that is concerning. His hips are such a big part of your swing. And yeah, he looks really sexy over there at third base, making a highlight reel like he typically does.
Yeah, he does.
But that's not exactly a good test of your hip. So, I mean, I think he'll be fine. He sounds like he feels good. He talks about it every day, but that's just athletes just saying bullshit like they normally do. I think I hope this works out because there's a lot of pressure on these two guys now that Marcus is gone. I'm hoping that Canna and Mitch Moreland, these guys can take a little pressure that pressure off. But I think the veteran leadership is going to be the real thing that takes the pressure off of them. So those guys can just fucking be who they are and just be the future Bash brothers. And Jed Lowry too. Like that's a leader that they already know, that they already trust, who was a leader for them a couple of years ago. Like I think that's an important addition to their clubhouse for at least these two guys. And yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for sure. I'm excited about the whole team, to be honest with you. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure we're gonna wait a few.
And these
episodes.
guys can be who they are. They can just be them. They don't have to like try and be something else to overcompensate for other shit. Like they could just fucking be who they are.
Now, you're the actual baseball player between the two of us.
Yeah.
How much of a difference do you think? Because there's been a lot of chatter, at least like on the radio broadcast I've been listening to, of just Elvis. Oh yeah, Elvis played with Adrian Beltre, and now he gets to play with Matt Chapman. Now, do you think strategy wise, do you think playing with another, Adrian Beltre was a multiple time Gold Glover. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Do you think playing with somebody like him and being able to pass off whatever knowledge you were able to attain from him to somebody like Matt Chapman, do you really think because Matt Chapman's, he's a Gold Glover, he's a Platinum Glover, he's him and Arenado, the top two
only
defensive.
On the hitting side.
What else can you learn?
Only on the hitting side. He's done it defensively. Like Adrian Beltre is one of the greatest of all time. Matt Chapman, if he keeps this up, is going to pass him. I don't think Adrian Beltre ever won a Platinum Glove award, but I don't know if I don't think the Platinum Glove existed.
Yeah, I don't think it existed.
Yeah, I think that's a newer thing. So to be fair, But I don't think defensively there's anything that he could teach him. Offensively, yes. His approach, yes. Being silly while on the field to kind of like release some, relax a little bit. Yes, that's one thing that they
Yes.
need desperately because they don't do that. They don't have fun playing. I mean, maybe they have fun playing. They don't look like they're having fun playing baseball. The only guy who really does out there is Mark Canha. Like I think that's important. But
Now, I'll do one quick thing before we jump into the preview. We got another week of spring training ahead. What's one thing you're looking forward to watching?
I want to see the development of the 3 young starters and see who wins that job. Again, I would say look at these outfielders, but I think Kai Tom has won that job already. With the Rule 5.
Just because of the Rule 5.
And being somewhat productive in any way, shape, or form, which Brown has not. And when they sent down the other guys yesterday, I forgot who it was. Let me see. I actually have it right here. My internet's not loading. Anyway, when they sent down
Grant Holmes, Caprillion. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about outfielders. When they sent down the other outfielders, I think Kai Tom, that was just kind of like his position to lose. But with the young guys, yeah, I mean, one of those guys is going to have to win that position, and it's a matter of who's being more productive now. So AJ Puck, unfortunately, is playing catch up. So let's see if he can catch up to Caprillion and Jeffries. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the Schlatter brothers for the East preview. Okay, welcome back. We have the brothers R-Schlatter here with us, Richard and Robert. Does that ever get confusing?
Richard, come on,
sorry,
man.
Richmond.
Killing me, Chris.
Richmond and Robert.
Does that ever get confusing? Like, if you ever put your initials on things, do you have to differentiate by putting like R-I dot?
Well, the way
R-O dot Schlatter.
The way our dad always did it was he did R1, R2. That was how we always figured everything out. So, but like,
what's your dad's first name?
Todd.
Oh,
so we don't have anything to worry about.
Is your mom's name Robin?
You couldn't copy like
No.
the CP family, like the Paul family.
No, we could not. We could not.
Shame.
Our parents dropped the ball.
Which one of you is closest to having a kid?
Oh God.
Oh, don't throw that on them.
Awkward.
Damn,
all right.
man.
So
I'm on my girlfriend's Zoom here over here. I didn't even realize we missed. Oh man.
I'm a little curious as to see if it's going to show up when we put the YouTube. I don't think it will, but for the listeners, if his name pops up every once in a while, it's not Richmond Schlatter on his Zoom.
It is Carly Gashesky. that is my girlfriend. Didn't realize she was on my Zoom, which is funny. Anyway.
So like we said at the beginning of this podcast, we're gonna do our MLB season preview a little bit different this season. We're gonna split it up into 3 parts so that we can still talk a little bit A's at the front end and then give you listeners a baseball preview at the back end. So we wanted to go to the east side of the country. So we brought in our 2 close friends, Yankees fans, unfortunately. So a little bit biased on one side of the league, but hey, they know East baseball better than we do, so definitely want to get their opinion. So let me go over the rules real quick, guys. So we're gonna split this up into what is this 4 categories, Julio?
That is correct.
So 4 categories. Instead of doing it general, we're gonna do talk about the lineups for both leagues, National League East, American League East. We're gonna talk about the rotations, talk about the bullpen, and then the offseason additions, and we're going to rank them each league 1 through 5 to kind of determine which one has the best lineup, whatever, blah, 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 in each league. And at the end of this, we're going to add up the points to kind of see what we subconsciously felt could be the best team in each league, as opposed to like if we were just talking about general AL East and we were like, oh, we feel off the top of our head that the Yankees are the best team in the East. Well, this point system is going to prove if we actually feel that way or if it's just kind of the first thought coming out of our mind. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, it does. Let's get
So
rolling.
this is pretty much a
Yes.
therapy session to show you that the Mets are actually going to be pretty good.
Oh, they're going to be the best team in baseball. We all know that.
Also, I just want to throw this
He
one
says
side
with
caveat.
sarcasm.
This was one of the original categories, but I think this will be a good tiebreaker. If you notice that two teams have the same number of points, your tiebreaker is the manager. Who do you like better as a manager between those two teams?
Gotcha.
Aaron Boone, guys. Aaron Boone.
As
All
long
right.
as it's not Kevin Cash.
Oh, jeez. All right.
So let's start with lineups. This is batting order. This is, I guess you could say, I don't know. Would
Depth,
Yeah, depth.
the bench.
I think we want to keep it strictly to offense. But if you want to incorporate defense in there a little bit, because I guess in some way, shape, or form, the lineup on the defense still counts. But let's
Absolutely.
start with
Where we start? Are we going NL East? I say let's go NL East first, and then we'll do AL East.
yeah.
Just
that
because
sounds good.
the spicy for later.
So let's start age, youngest before beauty. So Robbie, why don't you lead us off?
So if we're starting with the National League East, I'm gonna go with
Worst to best.
Worst
to best.
Worst to best. Okay,
Yeah, let's go
worst to best. Honestly, in offensive wise, I would probably say Miami just because at 5 because I know that they made the postseason last year and they are a surprise, and I do think that they could kind of take it up a notch, but I do think that their names aren't as attention grabbing as some of the other ones. So then I go so Miami at 5. Number 4, I would go with the Phillies. Number 3, I would go with the Nationals, and this is going to hurt me to say, but their offense was very good last year, and you have to take that into account. The Mets at number 2, and then the Braves, they just had the NL MVP, and they still have Ozuna, Acuna, Ozzy Albies. They're still stacked across the board. So that's who I would go 1 to 5. So Braves 1, Mets 2, Nationals 3, Phillies 4, Miami 5 for lineups.
So I'll get into it more when I go, but it's interesting that you bring up Miami at 5 because, you know, if you look at last year's standings, you're like, oh, they made the playoffs last year and then they won the first round. Like, why are they so low on this list? But you look at their roster and it's exactly what you said. Like, I don't recognize like hardly any of the guys on their fucking.
I think it's
lineup.
Cooper, right?
Yeah.
Or Anderson, and like they have some good
Starling
young players.
Marte.
Those good,
Marte, that was a great
yeah,
pickup for them.
Yeah.
Those good young guys that they've been grooming in their farm system for a while now, but they're just
They
not
have
big
that-
names yet as well.
I feel like they have that balance too, because you just brought up Marte.
Yeah.
Don't they have Aguilar too, or is it
Jesus
Aguilar?
Aguilar's at first. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. They got some boppers. Or
But like it's also gonna tie in with our last category. Like just all this entire division got acquisitions. Like they just made them, and this is the one team that kind of like.
I think
slacked a little bit on that.
If you threw them like in the AL, either their centrals, I think they'd probably be higher up. But
Yeah.
because
I agree.
the offense on this division's pretty nuts. Who do we got? Let's go Rich.
Yeah,
Rich, go next.
Rich.
All right. Since we're going offenses, I agree with Robert, just simply because, you know, they're not a high-profile team and nobody watches a lot of their games. I would go Marlins, number 5. Number 4, now to hear me out, just offense, I would go Mets.
Ooh, here we go.
I would take the Mets, number 4.
I don't like them. That's a bad take.
How is that a bad take?
They had one of the top 5 offenses in baseball last year.
I
get it.
Guys,
Listen,
let me inform the listeners on this inside joke we have going amongst us 4. So Rich has been hating on the Mets for all offseason.
I do too, but I respect their offense way too much to not like, you know.
So we all
All I'm
kind of knew
saying
that this was
is-
coming.
okay.
We all knew that they were going to rank a little bit lower on Rich's list. Why Rich doesn't like the Mets, it's, you know, his own personal reasons, mostly because he hates the fans. But just so you guys
Well,
know,
no.
prepare to see a pattern.
We'll get into that
podcast.
debate another time. Everybody has annoying fans, but that's not why I hate the Mets.
Okay.
But I think, you know, yes, based off of last year, they did have a very good offense, but I'm sorry, the 60-game season, doesn't matter who the team was, the Yankees, the Mets, the Red Sox, whoever it was, I don't put too much consideration into last season. I'm more so going off of the previous year when they had 162. But Lindor, great trade. He's obviously going to make them better. I just have some question marks regarding the rest of the lineup. Number 3, and this is just if the guys play well, if they live up to expectation, I have the Phillies at number 3. I think their lineup is very underrated with Harper. Didi was a great 60-game season. He was great. I think some of those guys could step up. Number 2, the Nationals, and number 1, the Braves, bringing back Ozuna. I think that was huge for them, and it's going to be very tough to out-hit the Braves next year, unless you're the Dodgers. So those are my rankings that I have for the NL East.
So I just want to throw a little wrench in we're going off of 2019 numbers. Well, during that season, of course, Pete Alonso hit the rookie record, 53 bombs.
Yep.
That
Jeff
was the season
McNeil
that the balls were juiced out of like crazy though.
Julio,
this is a conspiracy, but like, come on, there's more home runs that season than any season in the history of baseball.
Just to going off the Mets lineup from what what it looks like on paper right now. I love Jeff McNeil. That guy, he is an unbelievable hitter. I would love to have him in New York. He's a switch hitter too, correct? Or is he just a left-handed batter?
I think he is a switch hitter. I'm trying to remember if he was a big card in the show in the beginning.
Yep.
So shout out to the Jeff McNeil face the show card.
He's a left-handed hitter. It says on
lefty
the depth chart. Yeah.
No, I like certain players in that lineup. I like Lindor a lot. Alonso, great head on his shoulders. I think he's a very good hitter, and I do think he's going to have a big bounce back year. And McNeil, and McCann. I think that could be the most underrated pickup during the offseason. He was an
old, though, man. He's getting fucking
He
old.
is, but I mean, he was an all-star 2 years ago. And he even as a backup catcher, he still put up good numbers.
Dom Smith had a great year.
Dom Smith did have a great year, but they also had a DH last year. There's no DH.
So I want to get back to this point before we keep losing track of it. That 2019 Jeff McNeil, 23 bombs, he had 318. JD Davis, 22 bombs at 307. Dom Smith only played 89 games. He still hit 11 home runs. He had 282. Michael Conforto, 33 home runs. He had 257. Brandon Nimmo, only 69 games, 8 home runs too. So, look, man, if we're going to put that argument out there, like that's still hella good. I understand the number. The balls were juiced a little bit more.
Where'd they finish that year? Where'd they finish?
We're ranking offenses. We're not talking
about we're not talking about schedules.
Wait till
I'm just saying.
All right. So, but
anyway.
I think so. Both you guys are in the same boat. You both got the Braves at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, want to hear yours, baby?
Does anyone not have the Braves at the top? Let's be honest. Like, just raise your hand if you don't have the Braves.
They've been so disrespected, I think, this offseason with a lot of these rankings, and their offense is good, and we'll get into the pitching staff, but the pitching staff is studly too.
You just look at their lineup up and down, and like there's not a weak position. You could argue Danby Swanson, but he's still so young, and he's still kind of like a developing product.
He was the number 1 pick.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I think Braves fans would argue he's been disappointing the past couple seasons. But anyway, I digress. It's just there's not a weak position anywhere, and they got deeper. And I just, if you don't have them picked to win the NL East, like you don't watch baseball. That's the only conclusion I can come up with. Just because and as good as the Mets are, like as much as better as they are, like they are like. Kind of like Rich said, there are a couple little holes in their offensive lineup that are at least question marks. I mean, maybe there's a potential, but Conforto's a good example. Like he had a really good season 2019, but he's just so streaky. You never know what he's going to get. All right. So, I mean, I have the Marlins 5. I think we all agree on that. And again, for the reasons kind of when I responded to Robbie, there's just not a lot of big names on there. Maybe they'll shock us again, but who knows? The Nationals, I don't know. I'm so hit or miss with them because they lost a lot of guys from that World Series team that I didn't even realize until I was doing research for this. So they're kind of heavily relying on Trey Turner and Juan Soto and like I mean, I guess they got Josh Bell, but like they're kind of relying heavily on their 2 young stars to
Kyle
keep their
Schwarber,
offense
man.
going. I'm not a big Schwarber fan, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. I think
Thank God that we didn't get
I agree with
him
that.
instead
Yeah.
of Glaber Torres.
I just felt like he was so overrated.
He
But
just had that one good year and came back in the World Series, and it's like he forgot
Remember
how to
when
hit.
he hit the
Yeah.
ball out of Wrigley and then they closed the ball in the glass? 2015.
Brother,
He hit it out of-
stinks.
There. Love it. Love it.
Robbie
All
has
right.
some sound effects for everybody, just by the way. And then like the rest of their lineups, just like a bunch of like meh, like Victor Robles, meh. I mean, yeah, Jan Gomes, meh. I just can't get on board with that.
Did you like the Josh Bell pickup?
I do like that. I do
That was
like
good
that a
pickup
lot.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I we'll see what he does, and I do like that. The Phillies have a lot of pop in their lineup, so I have them at 3 just because who knows how they're going to hit the ball. They could just hit the shit out of it all season. And then the Mets, and then obviously we already said the Braves won. The Mets are just, with all the additions that they made in their offense, it's kind of hard to go against them. So yeah, I don't know, Julio, where are you at?
Agreed. Miami at the bottom, kind of the same consensus. If this was any other division, I think they could probably have a fighting
It's
chance.
so weird saying that because they made the playoffs last year. Like, it's just so weird.
Yeah, it's especially like that, the huge COVID outbreak. They didn't play for like 10 days and they still came back and won, or still went to the division. Swapping with your last. So I have the Phillies 2. I think I love Bryce. I think he's going to be great.
Give him 4.
Or 4. I'm excited to see what like Alex Baum is going to do. He might be like kind of the wild card person. Of course, Reese Hoskins seemed to kind of get back on track, but
Sac State
I don't-
alumni. Woo.
yeah. Oh shit, that's right. And of course, JT behind the plate. But I don't love it. I don't love the lineup. And what kind of I put the Nats above them. My logic is, yeah, sure, you're gonna have to rely on the guys of the Trey Turners and the Juan Soto, but Juan Soto's like a fucking top 5 player right now.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
you kind of got to give them an advantage. And plus, I do like the Josh Bell pickup. Carter Kieboom was kind of like a top prospect last year. He didn't really do much, so maybe you have a huge back pound, an actual like breakout season. And then Mets 4, and then of course the Hotlanta Braves, because this guy is gonna go 40-40.
Oh, you got your Project 70 card, huh?
Yeah,
Nice.
keep them on my desk. It's been a nice waste of money, all these cards.
The Phillies just like, I'm looking at everybody except for Gene Segura can hit it out of the ballpark. Like, that's got to be something to keep, especially with the way the game is played.
And hit
these
his park
days.
too.
Yeah, that's got to be something like to at least, I don't know, to
Their
consider.
pitching is just so bad, man.
Yeah,
Like it's could you imagine if they had, a third starter along with Nola and Wheeler? Their bullpen is just the worst.
Rich,
They
that's a
blew
great
so-
segue because we're going to talk about rotation next.
Yeah.
So,
It's like I knew that, man.
yeah. Actually, no, we have to go over American League first, but
Or what I said, let's do. What would you think would be better?
I think we should go over American League lineups.
Let's do it.
Okay. But you got two segments away from us. I get it. You're excited, Rich.
I'm ready to go.
I'll leave it.
I'm chomping at the bit.
All right, Robbie, where are you at with your division?
So for the 5th spot, going with Baltimore. I'm tempted to even put the Red Sox at 5th, but like realistically, Baltimore is just no. So Boston then at 4, and then it gets a little tricky. But with the lineups, I'm gonna buy into the Toronto hype, and I'm gonna put Tampa at 3, but then I'm gonna put Toronto at 2, and then of course the New York Yankees at number 1 because this is their year to get to the World Series. I don't care about any bias. Like, this is a clear path. The American League is diminished, and I'm going to continue to say that throughout this pod whenever we talk about the American League East or whenever we talk about the American League. So easy there. But the lineup is clearly possible. I mean, other than you're looking at, the Dodgers and, San Diego and other lineups like that, where you're at least on paper before the season starts that you're saying when they're healthy. Let's hope Giancarlo and Judge play 140 games, but I won't spend too much time and annoy you guys, but go ahead, Rich.
No, I actually have those same rankings. I would go Baltimore, Boston, Tampa Bay. I like Arozarena a lot after what he did in the playoffs last year. He killed the Yankees. He hit well against the Astros, but I'm on the bandwagon for Toronto. They have a hell of a lineup. Bringing in George Springer. You still got the young kids. You got your core with Bichette, Guerrero, Biggio. They all looked like they were making strides last year. But I just, I don't see anybody in the American League. I think the Yankees have the best lineup by far. Barring health and other factors, what are you going to get from Gary Sanchez? Is he going to be the $147 hitter he had, or is he going to be the juggernaut that he was when he first came up in 2016? There's a lot of question marks, but I do believe, without question, the Yankees have the most talent in the American League East.
It's interesting you bring up Gary Sanchez because
that's the wrong one.
Idiot.
I was trying to do a Yankees one. Wrong one. I'll save it for later, though. I was going for a Michael K.
How I said Kyle Schwarber, one of the most overrated players in baseball. Gary Sanchez would top my list on that one.
Oh, of course. The funny thing is with Sanchez, I heard stories amongst people in the organization that he's very lazy. And, he has all the talent in the world. Like when he came up that year in 2016, being a biased Yankee fan, whatever you want to call me, he looked like, at the time in that second half, the best player in baseball. Like that's how good he was. And, Robbie and I talk about this. I think Girardi leaving was a big difference in how Sanchez's career's gone. But you're right. I mean,
does he hit 30 home runs in any other ballpark but Yankee Stadium?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Because of his talent, yes, I do.
He's just got to put it all together.
It's all just up here, man.
If he hits 240, 30 home runs this year, he'll get all the fans off his back and all the BS. But, I mean, it's also a very slippery slope and could go downhill very fast.
He's also got to stop balls in the dirt, which is another thing that he does fucking terribly.
I've always said that he's probably going to end up being a DH for most of his career. So, I mean, his arm's going to get him by for a period of time and the hope of the Yankee fans. And I've said it on our own pod.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I've said it. I want Kyle Higashioka catching Garrett Cole. I don't want.
And we were talking. Robbie was saying a couple days ago when they or I don't know if it was you, Julio, where they signed Chirinos. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
He's got a broken hand.
But at the time, I don't think that. I think they signed him to be the third catcher on the roster. I really believe that. Like, with the flexibility the Yankees have in that lineup, you could have a defensive guy. And I don't think they simply brought Chirinos in to light a fire under Sanchez. I think they're covering their own tracks, and they're like, listen. We picked up Gary's option this year, but we want to look out for we got to look out for our best interest. Late in the game, I don't want Sanchez behind the plate. I do not want him 100%.
How about new?
There we go. I'll jump in next.
Perfectly.
I think it's pretty much the same, almost. Baltimore, Cal Ripken's not walking through that door. Boston at 4, but honestly, I like what they've kind of put together in this offseason. I'll talk about a little bit more with them later.
LeBron James, new owner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
I forgot.
LeBron, new owner. I'll get a little bit more with them later, but they're not better than these other teams. As much as I love the Toronto hype, I'm putting them 3rd just because with Tampa, I put them 2nd. They didn't really lose anybody when it came to the actual offense last season.
Just Renfroe. Renfroe's the only one they lost.
Just Renfroe's gone. Yeah. But they still have a super deep lineup. Willie Adames, I really hope this is a kind of a breakout year for him at short. There's been a ton of hype on there. And plus, they got the ace in the hole. If they ever want to call up Wander Franco, then, he could potentially turn into like the guy. But Yankees. Yeah, you guys are nailing it. I think if there's the only team I could really see them lineup wise that can go head to head when healthy would be the White Sox. But even at that, I'm like, there's just so much experience with this lineup at this point. There's been a ton of postseason play. And if healthy, yeah, you're not going to find many teams being able to top them.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
even with my hatred towards Gary Sanchez as an overrated player, and even though we probably shouldn't be doing our list this way, but because he's just been such a fucking train wreck on the disabled list, or is it called the injured list now? I don't know.
The
They
IL.
changed it.
The injured.
IL. I made my rankings based on knowing that Giancarlo Stanton will be hurt sometime this year and probably miss 3/4 of the season as he always does. But yet they are still that fucking good that they easily top my list at number 1 because they just make up for it in so many ways. Like Clint Frazier's not even a starter. Like,
Yeah, he
will.
is. Yeah,
Yes,
he is.
you think
Yes,
he
he
will?
is.
Why you should wait? Why are you
You think
shaking
he
your
will?
head there, Julio? Yes.
No. I'm shaking your head
Yeah.
at both. There's like, yes, no, yes. I'm like, that shows you how good they are. Like,
Did
this
you just,
dude is-
Chris? Did you just? I don't know if you go follow at Four Savages on Twitter. Did you guys see the piss missile he hit today?
No,
it-
I
not
did
yet.
not.
No.
It's like, I mean, I know you guys are just tied up in your Oakland days. I know, but I mean, like the absolute. There's still. I mean, this is the first year I've seen like an outcry for them not to sign Brett Gardner back because they want Clint Frazier to play the field. They want him to play the position. So they're just crazily deep, and they may be getting another bopper on the bench with Jay Bruce. You never know.
Mhm.
So they got some good hitters on the Yankees for sure. I mean,
That's a case for how fucking stacked and how deep they are. Is that Clint Frazier could potentially be on the bench? It sounds like he's not. Great. I'd love to see him start every day.
I would
But
cry if he
they
didn't
are
make.
just so good and so just like star-studded. Like every single position is a potential all-star, like at least on the fringe. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not even a question for me. I have the Rays too as well for the same reasons that Julio said. Like as cool as the acquisitions of Marcus Semien and George Springer and these guys for the Rays on top of their young talent, like the Rays still went to the World Series last year and they only lost one guy and they have the deepest farm system still in baseball. So like they're going to make up for it somehow. I'll get into that more when we talked about rotations. But I can't jump on the Blue Jays hype yet without even seeing how their lineup's going to make up also. So I have the Blue Jays 3rd. I have the Red Sox 4th. It's a lot of older guys on there that are kind of like, yeah, that guy, he was good 4 years ago. That's kind of how I feel about their entire lineup.
Julio, I'm still on the Verdugo bandwagon, man. I like him a lot. He's a very good player.
Yeah,
he's never going to be respected there because he was the guy who was traded for Mookie. He's doomed.
that's
there.
also true.
You're
no,
right.
he's due, but he can still be an all-star.
He can hit, man.
Yeah.
He's a good hitter. And like everybody talks about the short porch at Yankee Stadium. Is it pesky pole out there in right field? He could hit some dingers. He could hit some dingers on that short porch in right field at Fenway. But I like him a lot.
But before we jump into rotation talk, the one last thing I want to say about the.
Hold on, let me just finish.
All right,
the Orioles are in dead. I think they're going to get in dead last in the season. So I mean, they're obviously 5th on my list.
Yeah.
Every other. List. Anyway, keep going.
You remind me of the South Park joke. He's like, "Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish?" All right, I finished.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to finish on my rankings. Go
But yeah. I'll talk about the additions, but I think the Sox made arguably, to me, like the most underrated signing with Kike Hernandez.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a feeling you're gonna bring up Kike.
Yeah, I'm a big Kike fan. But
all right, so let's go into rotations.
Who I'll say, and I'll lead it off. I'll do a little special here.
Yeah,
about that. I'll lead off for the
National
NL East,
League.
the NL Beast. Miami, having 5th. Sixto Sanchez is going to be a absolute stud. San Diego Culture will have some quality outings, but they don't have the depth there yet. I think in time they could be there. Philly, Aaron Nola is going to be an all-star and he'll be great, but there's just too many question marks. Is Zach Wheeler, what they're going to get out of him? Steven Matz. Oh no, Steven Matz went to Toronto. My mistake. I'm kind of shocked that I put this, but after looking over, I have the Mets 3rd. While DeGrom, you know what you're going to get. another Cy Young. He's throwing absolute junk today during their spring training match. But yeah, there are some concerns. Stroman taking the year off. How's he going to be coming back there? Carlos Carrasco, yeah, he does have the high Ks. But he's starting to get up there in age. How is he going to be able to play again? And then Noah Syndergaard, we don't know when he's going to come back. He's coming back from TJ. I'm sure he'll be in good process. But like, if he can come back and be effective, they can usually shoot back up. But because of that, I can't put them any higher. Second, the Nats. Rob actually during fantasy baseball, because he swindled me in a trade years ago, saying, as long as they're still producing, I forgot who did I give? Nelson Cruz. As long as they hit bomb still, I'm still going to get him.
You gave me Nelson Cruz, dude, for Steven Matz.
Yep. But
what were you thinking, bro?
He was old. But the point that I'm trying to make with this, Max Scherzer is still a stud. He's still going to be at the top of the rotation despite his age. Steven Strasburg going to be come back at a full year healthy, same as Patrick Corbin. And then John Lester. I like the signing. Have him as a 4 or 5 in that rotation's decent.
Does
and
he
then
have a
close
pickup
out
move now?
Yeah. Atlanta. Young, super young rotation. We saw what they did last year. And then they added Charlie Morton. Like, that's as a potential 3-4 in that rotation.
Is
love
Mike
what they're doing
Soroka
there.
supposed to be back? Do we know?
I believe, yes, he is a part. So we are looking at Soroka, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson. Like, that's a fantastic top
Very
4.
good last year.
And then their 5 is John Lester. Okay.
Oh, no. For the Braves?
Yeah.
No, John Lester went to
Lester's
the
on the
Nationals.
Nationals.
Dude.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's mine.
Oh, their 5 is Drew Smiley. Sweet. All right. Rob, you can, or wait. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, so I pretty much have the same as you, Julio. Kind of the rationale behind it. I would honestly debate the Phillies rotation. Like, I think that's the one thing that's kind of holding them back from being a higher up seed in the overall division. But I would still say the Miami is still a tick behind them. And they have to up that pitching staff a little bit. So then I would go, same one as you. And the rationale with the Mets is kind of same thing, but like where I stand on their hitting wise, I say they performed well last year and the year before. And, even as much as it pains me to say, like, they do have a good offense. But with the pitching staff every year, it's, you're going to have the Cy Young candidate in Jacob deGrom. Like, that's going to happen. He's very good. He's proved it time and time again. But then you have all these guys. You got Syndergaard, who hasn't pitched a full season in a while. You have Marcus Stroman, who, for my rationale, and, I've talked about it with you too, I really don't think Marcus Stroman is that good. They say that he upped the velocity on his fastball. I'm waiting to see it. Carrasco already having injury trouble. They were thinking that it was just because of the COVID shot. Now it was revealed to be another issue with his elbow. And then you have they're still figuring out a 5th starter, and they're already saying that this is the best pitching staff in the in the National League East. I'm not ready to say that whatsoever, because I have those two. You have already the Washington Nationals, even though they're older pitchers. I think that those guys are way more proven already with being able, one, to stay on the field, and they have the talent to back it up. Then you also have, I am high on the Atlanta Braves. Like, if I was in a Yankee fan, I just love watching that team. Like, I love that pitching staff. I love all their young players, and the pitching staff last year just took a jump. Once again, 60 games, but they're also very young, talented team. So I think it's okay to talk about the Mets offense because they have performed the past 2 seasons, but I think people need to pump the brakes on the pitching staff outside of deGrom, because they just haven't proven to be able to stay healthy. Like, it's just that plain and simple. Stay on the field. And I don't think Marcus Stroman, they're talking about him being up to be the second horse behind Jacob deGrom. And it's like, well, you got the horse. I'm not sure if you're bringing along like a little pony. Like, I don't see him living up to anywhere near Jacob deGrom.
Is that a joke about his height?
Oh, actually, I wasn't thinking about that, but that actually works out pretty well, Chris, I'd say. But yeah.
All right, Rich, where are you at?
I'm going to go with the same lineup as Julio and Robbie. But Robbie, did you have the Braves 1?
Yeah, I had the Braves one.
I just because of the pedigree, I'm gonna switch the Braves and the Nationals. Max Scherzer is probably my favorite pitcher to watch in the game right now. He's an absolute stud. And I think we had this discussion before in baseball. In my opinion, I think Scherzer has been the best free agent signing in baseball history. My opinion, but everything that he's done for them, out of this world. But yeah, I think Strasburg, he could come back, have a big year. Scherzer, who else I got? Oh, I like Lester as the number 5. I thought that was great, but the Braves are coming. That kid, Ian Anderson, I watched him pitch against the Yanks last year and a couple other games. He's got electric stuff. They added Charlie Morton. Would Charlie Morton be their 5?
Or would be the 3?
I would probably put him behind Ian Anderson
Guys
and
are
Max
coming
Fried.
back from injuries too.
Yeah. I like the Braves rotation a lot. If we're just going off of number 1 guys, obviously DeGrom would be at the top of my list. But like Robbie said, there is so much, even when the guys are healthy, there is so much inconsistency that is in the Mets rotation. You know, are you going to get the Syndergaard who is lights out and could strike out the side for 3 innings in a row? Or are you going to get the guy who, throws up a stinker 5 runs in the first inning? That's my concern with the Mets. They got talent, but they don't have consistency. And then who else you got? Oh, the Phillies. The only reason why I would put the Phillies at number 4 is because of Nola. He's a very good pitcher, but
Zach Wheeler too.
Zach Wheeler's good. He is very good. Their pitching just hasn't been able to put it together. I don't know why. And because I don't know that much about the Marlins, I would put them at number 5. But they were a playoff team last year, and maybe that momentum will carry over. But yeah, at this point before the season, I would still have the Nationals at number 1 because of Scherzer and Strasburg and their pedigree.
So let me ask you guys this question. I was asking my buddy Jackson about this weekend. In the past 10, maybe 15 seasons, let's just say 10, who would you say is the best pitcher in the league in the past 10 seasons? Like overall, like in terms of that entire work, body of work. I think there's 2 people that are in that conversation. I think it's Kershaw. I think it's Scherzer. Depending on where your loyalties lie, I think a lot of people would say Scherzer or Kershaw.
I think we had this conversation during the World Series.
I think Verlander can definitely be in that conversation. I feel like he's the decade before though, because I feel like he got a lot of his big accolades kind of like around 2010, and then he fell off a little bit in the middle of the 2010s, and then he came back big time around when he went to the Astros. But throughout from 2010 to now, Kershaw and Scherzer, like they've been lights out for that entire time. And in the middle of 2010s, like it was a discussion of which one of those 2 guys is probably the best in the league. I don't know. I mean, I would go with Scherzer because of consistency and because he has a great playoff record. But that definitely, I don't know. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Those 2 have been very good, but I'm still a big Mad Bum guy. What he did in the playoff, was it 2014?
Yeah.
Where he was I really like Bumgarner. I don't know if his numbers were as good as Kershaw's and Scherzer's. I like Bumgarner because he always came up in big spots, no matter. I mean, he came in and closed out the World Series, pitched 3 innings on 3 days rest or something like that. But I would agree with you, Chris. I think the 2 guys who you got to put in there are Kershaw and Scherzer, and I might give Scherzer the edge because of the better than Kershaw, probably because of the playoff performances.
Yeah, the consistency.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would go with.
For the record, both Verlander Cy Youngs, 2011 and 2019.
2011, 2019. But what's his stats look like in the middle of 2010s? Because I remember him like really falling off in the middle of 2010s.
Yeah, people were saying he didn't know how to pitch anymore, or that he didn't have the gas.
So yeah, Pretty much 2010 through 2013, he was an all-star every year. Was not an all-star again until 2018. So yeah. And also Kershaw and Scherzer have the same number of Cy Youngs during that time.
Yeah.
Chris, close us out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, the Phillies are definitely 5 for me. After Nola, it drops off quick. I've never been on the Zach Wheeler hype. I look at his numbers and I'm just like, what about this guy that blows people away? Like, does he just have like a couple like crazy games and people like they were on national TV, so people think he's just like this amazing pitcher? Because you look at it and he dances around like upper 3.5s, like ERA, and doesn't have like an insane amount of strikeouts, like maybe a good amount, but nothing crazy. I just don't get it in his record. I'm one of those old school guys who still looks at the record because I think that's still pretty important. Marlins are 4 for me because they just have so much potential. I think in 3 years, we're going to be talking about them as potentially one of these best rotations in this division. But they're still very young. And this is going to shock you guys, but there's just too much uncertainty for me with the Braves because their 2 studs are 2 young guys. And like, I want to see what they look like with like, their opponents having like a full off season to really like scout them. You know what I mean? I just, maybe that's a misguided way of thinking, but like I love the Charlie Morton acquisition though. But I don't know. I just don't trust him. I just don't trust him yet. And I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong because I really like those. I really liked watching those guys in the playoffs last year. Then I have the Mets second, and honestly, when you have the best starting pitcher in all of baseball, I think that you should get a little bit of a bump, in my opinion. And regardless of what the question marks with health and stuff like that are, you still got DeGrom. And then the Nats are 1 for me just because of that 1 through 3 punch is just brutal. I mean, those guys are getting older, but they're still all 3 of them are still studs, and you could argue they're the reason them and Soto are the reason why they won that World Series in 2019. I think, didn't those 3 guys pitch in every single game or some form of that? Maybe Corbin didn't pitch in every single game, but I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was Scherzer because he was hurt, right? But I think it was Strasburg and Corbin pitched in every single game. Like, that's fucking wild to me. Like, I don't know. I love their rotation. I was not going to pick against them.
All right, so 3 out of 4 went with Atlanta though. So
yeah.
But also,
can see it though. Like they're young, they're fucking so talented. But I just got to see more. I've seen guys like this in their first 2 seasons just light it up and then completely fall off.
The New York Mets.
Jesus. All right, anyway, so let's jump over. We're going to the American League East. Same as last time. I'll go ahead and lead it off at the bottom at 5. Baltimore. Yeah, I don't know. We can really Felix Hernandez and Matt Harvey come back. Doubt it, but there you go. Boston. Yeah, I like the Garrett Richards pickup. I think he'll have a decent season. He was pretty solid back with I think the Padres this past season, but I don't think they really have it there. At 3, I have Toronto. Excuse me. Love Hyun-Jin Ryu. I think he's really going to be. We're going to see this kind of form of him for the rest of the way. Steven Matz at the back of the rotation, and then Nate Pearson coming back for his second season. But I think there's just not enough depth there to really put them any forward. Tampa is still number 4, or still second. They lost Blake Snell. They lost Charlie Morton. But there's a lot of hype this year with Tyler Glasnow going into the season. They picked up Michael Wacha, and they won the Chris Archer trade because they brought him back. And who knows, maybe they might be one of those teams who kind of bring in the damaged goods and can repair them. But first, I got the Yankees, just Garrett Cole every 5 days, Corey Kluber. The one thing I'll say about this, though, is I don't think this was a really strong division when it comes to pitching, which shouldn't be a surprise. I think the Yankees have a ton of upside that's there, but there's a lot of question marks once you go past Cole. Even in terms of consistency when it comes to health, when it comes to guys just being able to pitch a consistent, like good, like 6-inning games. It's hard to find that across this division, but it's pretty much the same across the board.
All right, Rich, you go next.
I'm going to agree with Julio. I go in that order: Baltimore, Boston, Toronto, Tampa, New York. I think, Ryu is a great starter, but you don't know what you're going to get 2 through 5. A lot of injury-prone players who are trying to make big comebacks. Tampa losing Snell
older guys too.
Yeah. Tampa losing Snell, that's a big loss. And the glass now hype is real. But there's a lot of question marks at the back, throughout the rest of their rotation. Archer, he has not been good these past couple years. Waka, huge question mark. Rich Hill, very injury-prone player. But like Julio said, when you have Garrett Cole pitching every 5 days, that's that how could you not favor the Yankees? But the clue, and again, like Julio said, the Yankees have so much upside. You got Kluber on a 1-year deal for $11 million, but is he going to stay healthy? You don't know how Severino's going to bounce back after Tommy John surgery. And even when he was pitching, he was very inconsistent. There's a lot of question marks in the Yankees rotation. But in this division, I will give them the edge over everybody else.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I have the same thing. Just I would switch out the Red Sox with the Blue Jays because I think outside of Ryu, they don't really have much. And as I said, I think that Yankees have a high upside with the starting pitching, but it could end up going not the way they hope so because, Brian Cashman has to finally deliver on something, and he put all the chips in the middle. So we'll see how it turns out.
I think losing Tanaka is going to kill him. I'm not going to yes, Tanaka, he definitely lost
because
some
of the
velocity.
Consistency he kind of brought to the rotation and grounding.
He was a big game pitcher, and in New York, that's what you need. He definitely lost some zip on his fastball. And I was talking to someone about it. I mean, the guy got hit in the head by a line drive last year. Even though it was a 60-game season, he wasn't great. But, I still think, he was a vital part in that rotation and their success, and they're really going to miss him. Really going to miss him.
So I didn't mean to look uninterested. I was trying to look up the stat that I texted Julio a couple days ago about the Rays, and I just couldn't find it. I mean, the Orioles are 5th. I already said it. They're getting last in every single category for me in this podcast. It's brutal. The Red Sox are very uninteresting to me. Garrett Richards, I've never been a fan of. Julio only likes him because he has this weird affinity for the Angels for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because he lived in Anaheim. But he always really likes Angels players that suck.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot he was on the Angels.
Oh, really? Well,
I remember him from the Padres, but
the Blue Jays, they intrigue me for all the reasons that you said, Rich. I love Ryu, but after that, it's a lot of guys who are on prove-it contracts, and it feels like they've been on prove-it contracts for 3 years now. Robbie Ray, Steven Matz, and Tanner Roark, and Ross Stripling really have all been signing 1 year prove-it deals to try and get their long-term deal, and it feels like it's been 3 years for all of them. Roark did a stint with the A's a couple years ago on one of those type of deals, and it's just all right, well, there's just too much uncertainty, and it'd be cool if it works out, but we'll see. And then I have the Yankees second. For the also same reasons. When you have Garrett Cole, it's like the Jacob deGrom effect, in my opinion. When you have Garrett Cole, it just lifts your rotation to the top. I'm very concerned about the rest of your guys' rotation, I'm being completely honest.
Second place?
Yeah. And then I have the Rays in first, and here's why. So, yes, they lost Blake Snell. I think Tyler Glasnow is the real thing. But so I don't have numbers specifically, but I know it was 6 prospects. So of the top 100 prospects in all of baseball this year, the Rays have 8 of them. Guess how many of them are pitchers? I just told you 6 of them. Sorry, I just ruined that stat. 6 of them are pitchers. 2 of them are in the top 15. So it makes sense why they got rid of Snell, because they just see it as, oh, we can't pay this guy, so next man up. We have the farm system to at least one of these guys is going to pan out and be a good sidekick to Glasnow. Will that
probably
be
not
this
in
season?
2021? So
you never know. You never know. You never know. We've seen it before. You could argue that Ian Anderson was kind of like that last year, even though it was only a 6-game season. But it just makes me feel a lot more comfortable about their rotation. And again, sorry guys, but it just feels like it falls off a lot after Cole with you guys.
Yes.
No offense taken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. I will say if we're gonna overreact to spring training, which I am strong against, but I can't deny that they haven't looked pretty solid, and they've shown that they've been able to truck over the finish line of reaching 100 wins with, just below average starting pitching, it seems, or not below average, but like teetering on below average, it seems at points. So,
but you know why they've been able to do
before
that
Cole.
is
Sevy's come back in July too. We'll see what he does. People forget about that.
That's true. That's true. But that's a tough injury to come back and just be lights out after that. You typically need an off season to really stretch that arm out and see what your elbow is going to do.
Was that Herman in 2018 that won like 17 games? But then he also had like eight runs of support every game or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, that was him.
I think
it's like, of course you're going to win 17 if you got that many runs behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I get what you're saying, Julio, but when you're watching Herman and his electric stuff and how he was getting batters out, like he's got filthy stuff. And he's got a great lineup behind him, but you look at the intangibles and what he can do with the ball, he's filthy. He's like if we're going off of raw stuff right now, I know I'm going to sound crazy, just off his stuff, you could argue to put him up at the number 2 spot behind Cole. You could. I wouldn't. Like, I would probably.
Who are you? The New York Post, dude? What are you doing? I saw that article in the New York Post today. I can't even believe this. They go, "Oh my God, Domingo Germán could really be challenging Garrett Cole for the ace spot." And I'm like,
I didn't say the ace.
You kind of sounded like
no. He said
I said the 2 hole.
He said over the 2 spot, but you would put him over Kluber right now?
Yeah, I don't even know about that, man.
I mean, just based off his stuff. Because he won 20 games the year before. Kluber hasn't pitched in 2 years.
I think he had like a 4 ERA in that year. I think it was an insane number.
Yeah, he wasn't great with the Rangers, and then he got completely shut down. It was not the whole Rangers rotation was a disaster.
So I just want to touch on something Robbie said, like the rotation's never all that great, but they still win 100 games. Well, the reason why they win 100 games is the next category we're about to hop into, because they've had the best of this category in all of baseball for the past 2 seasons, and it's just like it's overwhelmingly dominant that your guys' bullpen, and we're in an era where bullpens can do that. They're like, you build the rotation is kind of what it is, and bullpens kind of ride you through either the season or the playoffs. So let's jump into that. I think since we're talking about the AL East and bullpens right now, we should start with that. So I don't know. Julio, why don't you start it off this time?
Oh, me? Wow. Yeah. Not much to talk about bullpens, because let's be real, there's not a lot of stuff we actually know about bullpens besides certain teams. So Baltimore, bottom. Yep. Boston, I have 4th, who, even though I would be a big fuck you season if Adam Ottavino decides to pitch again.
Yeah.
3, I have Toronto. It all depends. They could shoot up. If Kirby Yates can bounce back and have a 2019 Kirby Yates season, then they got a steal and they could easily shoot back up there, but there's still some questions there. Tampa, just a ton of depth in that bullpen. Nick Anderson was fantastic last year. I don't see him really falling off from there, but yeah, Mets, Yankees, they're too talented still. There's still too much heat back there with Chapman, even though I'll save this question. Actually, yeah, I'll save this question for later. I'll let the 2 of you go and have a question about Chapman. But still, even after that, they still have a lights out bullpen.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I have that same list. I would say that Tampa's nothing to really snuff at when it comes to like comparing to the Yankees, because we also have to remember the Yankees were not very good in the bullpen last year. They were extremely disappointing. Guys were completely on and off. Some of the numbers were inflated because, bullpen pitchers do have their ERAs inflated when they have that one bad inning, and especially with only 60 games, it was a little tough for them to kind of put together great numbers. The Yankees losing Zach Britton really pissed me off. not great way to start the season. It's already, Yankees already got injuries going. But yeah, I still think the Yankees are looked at as the top dog in bullpen pretty much in all of baseball. If you look at it, there are other teams out in the NL that won't get into, but American League will stick with that. But yeah, I'd say Yankees got a good look at. I'm just looking forward not to seeing Aroldis Chapman give up a home run to end the ball game for us. Pretty much.
All right, Rich.
So I would go, bottom three: Orioles, Red Sox, Blue Jays. But I do like Kirby Yates. If Kirby Yates pitches well, that is a very good signing for them. I'm not as high on the Yankees bullpen this year. I think losing Britton is big. I like the O'Day pickup. That was very good for them. I mean, Ottavino stunk. I was not sad to see him go. Chapman, as great as he is, he still has those moments where he's very streaky in the bullpen. I think I might give the edge to the Rays. I would, at this point in time, I don't think they lost anybody in that bullpen. They still have Nick Anderson. Granted, he did not pitch well in the playoffs last year. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they lost any intricate parts to their bullpen. And their bullpen was that was their greatest strength, people were saying. So I don't know. I think the Yankees, losing Britton was big. If they didn't lose Britton, I would probably put the Yankees number one, but he's going to be out for multiple months. So I would go Rays, Yankees, Jays, Red Sox, Orioles.
The only guy that the Rays lost was Jose Alvarado, and he actually got shipped to the Phillies. So we'll talk about them in a minute.
Didn't Chapman lose his job for a little bit? Was it last season or was that 2019?
No, that was 2018.
It was 2018? Who did
it was when Rafael Devers hit a home run off him to end one of the games in a walk-off. And I think he had another one. I think it was in that subsequent time period that he let up another one. And then he kind of righted the ship a little bit. I think it was actually when he was coming back from an injury or possibly suspension in 2018 or something. But yeah, he
who did he lose it to? Who became the closer after that?
I believe it was not Britton because we didn't have him at that point.
Was that
it may have been Canely. May have been Tommy Canely. That will also be a thing that it really
that's a big loss for
him
them.
On the Dodgers is going to help them out west. And the Dodgers is so loaded, dude.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
There are definitely some unfamiliar faces on the Yankees bullpen, but I loved the Darren O'Day signing. I don't know, just something.
Yankees
about that
needed a sidewinder.
Yeah.
They needed a sidewinder.
The Britton shit. I mean, that sucks. That blows. But I still have them one, man. I don't know. There's just something about, maybe it's the reputation that they had in 2018 and 19 that's making me think that way. So it's just driving me towards feeling that way. But they're still one for me. The Rays are two. Here's the thing about the Rays is they didn't really have a strength last season. They did everything so above, just so well, so good. Not above average, not great, but it was just good. And that's what kind of led them to the postseason. Just every part of their game. I didn't know enough about the Jays except for what's his face?
Kirby Yates.
So I put them at 3, but then I look at the Red Sox and the Orioles and I didn't really notice very many names. So I put the Red Sox because I could recognize a couple, put the Red Sox 4 and the Orioles 5. So I think we all had the same thing.
Yeah. So my question,
Rich,
I had the Rays number 1. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we finished, you guys kind of answered it. Are you scared of the yips of Chapman? It's a consistent thing the post last season. He gave up the bomb and what was that, game 4, game 5 for Phillips. And then, of course, the year before, he had threw out the walk-off home run to Jose Altuve. Even going back to 2016 with the Cubs, he gave up a game winner in game 7. The Cubs eventually came back. But, do you think this is just something that it's just in his head? Do you think he can get out of this?
Only one way to find out. You got to get there. You got to see if he's going to do it.
I don't think
know.
You just got. It's not as he's just got to get over the hump. Yeah, it's you got to throw the baseball. You got to throw strikes. And you got to get them out. It's not as easy as saying
I still think he's a top 3 closer in baseball. You have Josh Hader in Milwaukee, and then who I feel like there's another guy in there too who I'm
Liam
forgetting.
Hendricks.
Liam Hendricks.
Liam
In
Hendricks.
Chicago.
Dodgers don't really have like a set closer now, right?
Yeah.
Because Canely
It's still
kind of took a back seat.
No, even if you look at Kenley last season, he still was pretty good. It's just like you remember the shit storms he has compared to the great he does, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's only one way to find out if Chapman can do it. If he A-Rod did it in 2009. They were like, can he get over the hump and hit in the postseason? Chapman, maybe.
Yeah, he started taking roids again.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. His workout videos are ridiculous. But anyway, I think it's possible. He's got the talent. It's just a matter of, I will say, though, I think he got screwed on that at bat last year against
Brett Phillips.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think there were a couple pitches where I'm sitting there like, dude, come on. Like, that was a strike. There were a couple of those. So I'm not going to bash him on that one too much.
And you could tell, like, when he gets in those situations, he gets pissed, and it's just like he gets all up in his head, and then it just kind of like he's just trying to throw gas. He's not really he's not really trying to frame his pitches, or lack of a better word.
I feel like the Cubs year too, man. Madden drove him into the ground.
Yeah, he did.
I felt like he was pitching multiple innings every game.
Yeah,
that he did give up the home run to Rajay, but he basically hit he was that bullpen that entire year.
Yeah,
when the Yankees traded him
because Matt didn't trust any of his other guys, because like guys like Carl Edwards and shit like that, and the other guys in their bullpen, they weren't fucking getting the job.
Couldn't do anything.
So I don't blame him.
But to answer your question, Julio, we'll see. Got to get there first.
We'll see. All right, Chris. One more category. What do we got?
Did we do NL bullpens? No.
That's right. We had one more bullpen category. That's a meant to say.
All right, here, I'll go first. All right, so I have the Marlins at 5 for the same reasons we kind of been saying about them this entire time. I don't recognize a lot of their names, and especially when it comes to bullpen, I'm definitely not going to recognize them. The Phillies are very enticing, but not enticing enough at 4. I have the Nats at 3. The Braves at 2. I'd be willing to change that up, though. And then the Mets at 1. I don't know, man.
That's crazy to me, dude.
Yeah,
the Mets number 1.
Did Trevor May become Dennis Eckersley?
He's not their closer, is he?
No, it's
I think
Edwin
Diaz.
Yeah, it's Edwin Diaz, right? And then they still have Familia. I don't know.
Their bullpen is doo-doo.
I don't trust Familia. Ugh. Their bullpen's the worst part on the team.
Robbie, give us your bullpen.
So I'm going to go with the Marlins 5, Mets 4, Nationals 3, Phillies 2, and Braves number 1. The Braves, I think, are being underrated still with their bullpen. I think there's still a possibility they could get Shane Green, because Shane Green, I don't believe, has signed with anybody.
Yes,
at this point. No idea why he hasn't signed. The dude had I believe a 2.3 ERA last year, and then the year before in a full season was an all-star and had like a 2.8 ERA for a bullpen pitcher. That's pretty good. So, but not to like put too much on like Mets hating, but like their bullpen is like not very good. And like Edwin Diaz did have sort of a step up last year, a little bit, but he's still teetering on like Mets hatred for them making that Seattle trade, because that he was supposed to be the prize in that. And then Cano also had the substance thing. So
I think he's still suspended too.
Yeah. So that's what I would go for my bullpen list.
I would go Braves number 1. And then honestly, after the Braves, you just don't even care. I just don't. It's not that I don't care. It's like I don't think any of those bullpens. I would just because the Marlins made the playoffs last year, I might put the Marlins at number 2, because the Phillies bullpen is atrocious. Like, they might be worse than the Mets. So I would probably go Braves, Marlins, Mets, Phil, or no, I forgot about the Nationals. Braves, Marlins, Nationals, Mets, Phillies.
So the problem with the Phillies is they put all their eggs in trying to sign the Liam Hendricks basket, and then they didn't get Liam Hendricks. So it's just kind of like left them hanging out to dry and trying to find whatever scraps that they could. That's really what fucked them over. It's brilliant. But you're right. It's pretty underwhelming. I feel like this entire division is kind of I mean,
It's going to be
anyway.
competitive as hell.
Yeah. Julio?
I've got Miami at the bottom, even though shout out to Brian Kinsler. He's a nice fantasy closer to always pick up. Philly, I have at 4. Jose Alvarado and Archie Bradley, they're going to help with that dumpster fire from a dumpster fire to like a regular trash can fire. So that's great.
What do you
Atlanta
think about
have
Archie Bradley? What do you think about him?
He's serviceable, but like they need serviceable.
He's getting
Atlanta
a lot of
have
hype
3.
this offseason.
Atlanta have 3, just because they are losing Shane Green. If they bring him back, I could bump them back up to the 2 spot. But at 2, I have the Nats. I love that Brad Hand signing. Super under the radar. I feel like that's not getting talked about enough. He was you're talking about, Chapman's still a top 5 closer. Well, so is Brad Hand. He's right there. And honestly, if we're just going off potential, I still have the Mets 1. I know Edwin Diaz. Hasn't really lived up to the potential of what they traded for him there. Chris and I are pretty familiar with Uris Familia. He was with the A's back at the back end of 2018. He was awesome. Seth Lugo was solid.
He's hurt
back in that lineup.
Lugo's hurt. Last I checked.
Yeah, but I like the potential. There's a lot of fire back there. But the thing about bullpens is bullpens are always disaster for everybody.
Yeah.
For most of the time, that's going to be disaster. But on paper, I think that's probably the best looking one.
Yeah. All right, let's finish it off with additions. So I was surprised at most of these teams actually had quite a few additions. Obviously, there's some big ones with the Jays and stuff like that. But we'll start with the National and the Mets too. Let's start with the National League though. We'll save your guys' division last because I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts about that. I'll start. So I have the Marlins at 5, which other than Duvall and Gio Gonzalez, there's not too much on there, and those are pretty underwhelming signings / like trades. I have the Phillies 4th. For let's see, what are theirs again? Brad Miller. Matt Joyce. So Julio, I saw that like when Matt Joyce signed, it was like a big deal. Can you help me understand that a little bit more? Like what happened to him when he left the A's that like people are like excited about that?
I thought I feel like I'm getting him mixed up with Sam.
He got a
Fold.
minor league deal, but people are like, "Oh, that's a steal! Like he's gonna be a leader on this team and stuff like that." And I'm just like, "What? Like I didn't even know he was still in the league."
I was getting him mixed up with Sam Fold, to be honest.
Maybe. Archie Bradley. I don't know. They're cool. And then let me see. Let me pull up the Nationals real quick. I did a bunch of research, but I didn't write down specific names. Because I know they had a couple interesting ones. Oh, Jeffers was one. Did you know that they had TJ McFarland? I didn't know that, Julio.
No.
Yeah.
Minor league deal?
Yeah.
He's an ace bullpen guy.
Yeah. Let's see. Obviously Josh Bell. So that was pretty impressive. And then I have the Braves too. Obviously for the main reason, Charlie Morton. I found it interesting also that Jason Kipnis was still in the league, so he signed a minor league deal with them.
That's right.
And then Drew Smiley. But obviously the Mets take the cake with one. I mean, they got Francisco Lindor. I think that pretty much wins them the prize right there. Yeah. All right. That was a clusterfuck, but
I agree with that list. That's probably the same thing I would go with.
Yeah.
I'll jump in next, real quick. Nats 5. I don't think they've really made any, or Nats. Marlins 5. I don't think they really made anything significant to really push to the table. Philly at 4. Yeah, they got Archie. They brought back Didi. It's got Jose Alvarado. I just don't think it's still enough. 3, I'm switching it up, Chris. I'm going with Atlanta. While I do love, bringing in Charlie Morton, bringing back Ozuna, there wasn't really a lot you had to do with this team to really make the additions really substantial. And because of that, I put 3. But these last 2 teams, I think they made some pretty substantial stuff. I have Washington at 2. Already hyped up the Brad Hand signing. To me, they're building up this team for one last run with the top 3 rotation guys. So bringing in John Lester, bringing in Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, you say what you want. You're still going to get 20 bombs out of him. And then having Brad Hand to close it out is really solid. And then, yeah, Mets, even though it could have been more, but shit kind of fell off Trevor Bauer. But still a solid team that got put together. Francisco Lindor, of course, Carlos Carrasco, James McCann, Joey Lucchesi in the back of the rotation. They, to me, probably won the offseason, and they could have done more. But that's
they also got a lot of depth with their acquisitions, like Kevin Pillar and Jonathan VR and those guys. Like they kind of go like under the radar a little bit. Yeah. All right, Rich.
I think the Mets with the Lindor trade had not only it was franchise saving for them, after all the heartache Mets fans have had to suffer through. This was a trade they needed to make. And I watched the spring training game with Ahmed Rosario. They gave up nothing for Lindor, and they still got Carrasco in the trade. So, as much as I can't stand the hype surrounding this team, this deal was pivotal for their success going forward. And then, I like what the Braves did in adding Charlie Morton, another guy in that rotation. And then I like the Nationals adding Josh Bell, and I totally forgot about the Brad Hand signing. That shores up the back end of their bullpen. And then I think it was big for the Phillies if the Phillies lost JT Realmuto, that would have been catastrophic for their season. I think retaining him was huge because everybody was saying that he wanted more money somewhere else, but they were able to strike a deal. And I think Didi found a nice home for a couple years. I liked how they brought him back. And then the Marlins, I don't even know if they did anything this offseason. So I'd go with them at number 5.
All right, Rob.
I would go with similar lists to everybody else. I would say the Mets won the offseason. Second, I'd probably go with the Nationals for bringing in big names. 3, then I go Phillies. And then 4, I would go with the Braves. I mean, I would say the Braves, they kind of just retained their roster. And then the Morton deal, I wouldn't really put that for them over the edge of like the other teams. And retaining, Ozuna and not Freeman, he was a free agent, but keeping the gang together. So I don't really see any movement, but it's not too big of a deal. And then Marlins not really, but they did sign the first female general manager in sports. So
that was pretty cool. Yeah.
So that was a good thing for them. But
Here's my thing. I don't see like retaining Real Muto and retaining Ozuna and like those those aren't like acquisitions. So I didn't put them into consideration. And like I also try to consider like what each team needed and like what the Braves could have improved on was rotation, and they fucking nailed it out of the park with theirs. That's kind of why I was so blown away by theirs. But I don't know. Yeah, the Mets win it. The Mets win it hands down. With just that one move, and then they got a shit ton of other ones that deepen their roster. All right, the American League East. I think we should save the Schlatter Bros for last for their opinion. What do you say, Julio?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Orioles are last. I have the Yankees at 4. I was pretty unimpressed by a lot of the things they did, but they also didn't really need to do anything. That's the whole point. The Rays at 3, the Red Sox at 2. The Red Sox had a lot of, like Julio said, a lot of low key, like under the radar signings that could pan out good for them. They probably won't, but they could pan out good. And then the Jays, because of, I like the rotation pieces that they added, but I think the signings of Springer and Simeon just won them that division. All right, Julio.
Yeah, pretty similar. I have Baltimore last. Yeah, I can't really say too much about it. Actually, I had Tampa Bay in 4th. I'm not super impressed with bringing in Michael Waka and Chris Archer, but it's like, what else are you going to do when you're that team?
Yeah.
I agree. I did put the Yankees 3rd. Kluber does have some pretty high upside. Jameson Talon, it's going to be pretty interesting to have in a competitive team again. But to me, I just couldn't put him past these other 2 teams. Boston, surprisingly, I thought they had a really solid offseason. They lost JBJ, and I know you two have your own opinion on him, but I think he's still a fantastic defensive outfielder. But then you're bringing in Kike Hernandez. He's hopefully getting a full-time role out there with with Boston. Garrett Richards, getting a back of the rotation guy who can throw some heat out there for you. Adam Ottavino, if you can have a fuck you season from him, that'd be great. And then Hunter Renfroe. I think he'd be really beneficial to hit some bombs out there in Fenway. I think they're going to have a pretty nice offense. But that being said, I'll get a little bit later there. And then just Toronto. Taking Marcus, picking up George Springer, getting Steven Matz at the back of the bullpen. I forgot to pick up Robbie Ray, Kirby Yates. Back to rotation. Yeah, they had a fan. If the Mets won the offseason, I'd say Toronto is probably right there in 2nd.
All right, fellas, who wants to go first?
I would. Okay, you go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I'll go. So 5th, I would do the Baltimore Orioles. That's what I'm, kind of plain and simple. Number 4, I would go with Tampa. They lost 2 of their starters. I really don't see any of the moves that they made as really kind of affecting their roster as much as people would think, because a lot of interchangeable parts on that team. Not saying that they're not going to make them good, but I just don't think that they're really game changers for what they already have been doing. Number 3, I'm going to go with Boston. Like you guys said, made some solid moves. They just made a move today. LeBron James as the owner. See how that pans out for him. Number 2, I'm going with the Yankees. And number 1, I'm going to go with Toronto. Toronto made the bigger name move. So if you want to go, like Chris, as you said, like rather than not retaining players and just kind of making splash moves, it's Toronto. We'll see if those moves are able to, translate into wins for them. But like how you're saying about like 4 with the Yankees, like I think you guys had them 4 for the Yankees. I think it's really kind of balls to the wall time for Brian Cashman, and he's trying to make these moves pan out in a single season. Like, I don't think these are really long-term moves. And I think just the pitching staff shakeup, not to mention Justin Wilson for the bullpen, I think it was a very rated move, even though I do see that that last game giving up a grand slam in spring training wasn't very good for him. And I really think that those moves were kind of balls to the wall moves, and we'll see how they pan out for him.
All right. I am going to – so I would go Baltimore 5, Tampa Bay 4. Losing Snell was big. I don't like it. 3, Boston. I did like the Kike Hernandez signing. I think he's a guy who brings energy, and it's kind of funny. Like, he was a bench player in with the Dodgers, and now I think with it he'll get a starting opportunity.
We don't know what he's like as an everyday player. That's what really intrigues me about that move.
Yeah, I think he could be a guy who, obviously not a game changer like Mookie Betts, but he's someone who could put the franchise in the right direction. And then I would go with the Yankees number 2. Robbie and I talk about it all the time. I used to rag on him when he was on the Mets, but man, I think the Yankees would be foolish to not sign. Like, I liked Kluber. The Kluber signing was great. I think they should take a shot on Jay Bruce. I would love Jay Bruce in Yankee Stadium with that short right field porch. He doesn't have to play every day, and I think if Stanton and Judge get hurt, they did retain Gardner, but I think Jay Bruce is another guy. And also Derek Dietrich. He's not the best player, but again, that short right field porch, it's something I like. But Toronto stole, they had the best offseason. In regards to picking up players, I believe the Mets had overall, like I said, the best offseason because this saved the franchise and the trajectory of where it could go. It could do the same for Toronto, of course, but I think from picking up players to, getting Springer, bringing in Kirby Yates, Marcus Semien, they're competitive with the Yankees. I am very scared of Toronto and what they can do, and those guys clearly make them better.
But it's about also how those moves can impact the team this coming year. So you think that the Yankees moves are going to impact the offseason acquisitions more than the Red Sox acquisitions?
Yeah, because I do. I think that it to finally get Yankee fans and other fans are out there stop bitching about their starting pitching being lackluster and finally having some players. But now it's all depending on how they all do. But if I'm doing it off preseason rankings, yeah, I do think if they even give you close to 10 wins each and they perform and double digit wins from those guys, and I really do think that
I think they have the potential to be a top rotation in baseball if everything pans out.
Yeah, I
agree. No, agreed. It's just there's a lot of
question
ifs.
Marks.
There's a lot of what ifs, and honestly, if that's your biggest what if, then I think you're in fucking great shape.
Yeah,
because you know what you're going to get at Garrett Cole. It's just the rest of those guys, and if you're going to be able to provide that run support they have the last few years, then hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Time for the big one. We've kept you on too long. Everybody, go ahead and add up your scores from everything, and then you're going to have your non-subjective division winner. I'm going to go ahead and lead it off. I've had this going from before the show. I'll start off with the NL East. I'm going to read off my results. I have Miami in 5th, Philly in 4. And this is pretty interesting because this is all within 2 points of each other. With 15 points total, I had Washington, 16 points total, I had Atlanta, and then at 17 points, it was the Mets. So the Mets are my non-subjective division winner. Also, we didn't get a chance to bring this up yet. Also, who would be your dark horse for that said division? So for me, honestly, the Nats. I think the Nats they look ready to go. I think this is their last big run with that rotation. They've really put the right pieces in place. I wouldn't be shocked if they try to make another move at the trade deadline or something. I think they would be my dark horse to win the division. But fuck, honestly, I feel like I kind of drank a little bit of that Mets Kool-Aid, just the hype with that Lindor trade and kind of seeing on paper how good that lineup could be. They look like they're my division winner, but it's not significant enough where I would say put my foot down, they're going to do it. I could see either one of those top 3 teams win it.
Yeah.
Chris, how about you? Want to leave our East Coast boys last?
Extremely similar. Actually, the exact same rankings. Marlins, Phillies, Nats, Braves, Mets for all the same reasons, and it was very close as well. I definitely drank the Mets Kool-Aid 1,000%. And it's hard not to. But we've seen these types of off seasons from teams before, and they don't quite pan out. I mean, the Marlins back in 2012 or whatever are a big example of that. I don't know. A dark horse. I mean, definitely the Nats. I think it's hard not to pick the Nats for a dark horse because they're definitely not the favorite. The Braves are the favorite, and the Mets are the big hype team of the season. If you were to pick the Phillies and the Marlins, I feel like that would just be kind of stupid. But I mean, who knows? The Marlins were that team last year, so. The dark horse is the Nats for me. Do you guys have it added up?
Yeah.
Right,
I have Marlins, Phillies, Mets, Nats, Braves for my NL East.
So
Kinda
Robbie
just what
was thinking logically. Good job.
Yeah, kind of just what I think. Yeah. No. Why did you guys think I was going to put the Mets last or something?
No, I had a feeling you were gonna put. No. I'm just saying because me and Julio drank the Kool-Aid and we weren't thinking logically, and we put the Mets number 1.
Oh, gotcha.
I will say before we started adding additions to it, I actually
Yeah.
had the Braves on top, but then
Okay.
just the Mets really knocked it out, and the Braves didn't really. And do you agree with that? I mean, assuming you agree with that, those numbers you put up there.
My own numbers or
Yeah.
your guys' numbers?
No,
Yeah,
your own number.
Yeah, no, that's what I had for what I think is going to happen. I mean, maybe the Phillies can move up farther, but
Yeah.
let's see.
Dark
Go ahead,
horse.
Rich. Probably the Phillies. Probably
Oh.
the Phillies.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I messed
Not-
up. I forgot to add the numbers. I'm an idiot. Such an idiot. So
Boo!
I messed up. I dropped the ball. But
Brother, this guy stinks.
the shoe fits, I guess. But I think judging by where what I have now with the numbers, it looks like I have the Braves winning the division, and then Yankees winning the division.
Oh no, we're not getting there. We're not getting there. It's just the NL East.
Oh, NL East. I would, based off the numbers, I would say Braves. That's what I got right now with the numbers I have.
And how's your if you had to pick a dark horse?
Just for the team, Phillies.
Interesting.
I think if the Phillies lineup, if their pitching can be consistent, that's the thing. If they can hold leads and if their lineup can put together the talent,
That pop, bro. That pop.
they can surprise some people.
All right, so let's
Yeah, go
give
ahead,
I'll say Rich, go ahead and add up your AL East projections. That way, even though we know what it's going to be, but I just like to hear everything else there.
So I have.
Oh no! I'll say add them up while we go.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Grandpa Rich. What?
Idiot.
Yeah, dude.
You know what?
All right.
It's been a long day, man.
In last, I have Baltimore. Fourth is Boston. Now, for second and third, it was a tie. It was Tampa Bay and Toronto, but I'm using my tiebreaker, which is management. I know you guys shit on Kevin Cash, but that guy still knows how to manage a ball team. They know how to manage a team at the end of the day. So I'm going to give the advantage to Tampa there. And first, it's Yankees. It was significant too. It was 4.4 runs or 4 points ahead. My dark horse, though, honestly, I could see Boston contending. I could really see them having a nice bounce back year. Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But having, bringing in Kike, having potentially being his everyday second baseman, having Devers and Bogarts on the left side of the infield, and then oh my god, who am I spacing on there? Rookie Bobby Dalbec, right? Was that
Off
the
top
rookie
of my head.
first baseman last year?
I'm on top of my head. I have no idea.
Somebody help me.
I have no idea.
and-
I don't follow it.
Yeah, they had a solid. Yeah, I think it was Bobby Dalbec. Or am I thinking of the dude on the Phillies? Anyways, I still think they're gonna hit the ball well. I don't know what their rotation's gonna be like, but Bobby Dalbec. Thank you, assholes. But the odds are it's a 3-team race, and the Yankees are gonna finish up top.
All right, so I have the Orioles last, the Red Sox in fourth, and then I have the Jays with 14 points, only 2 points less, and I have a tie for first. I have 16 points from both the Rays and the Yankees. I don't know if I want to pick a manager for either of these because I'm not crazy about. I don't know. I just. All right, I'll pick the Rays. The
Jays?
No, the Jays are in third for me.
Oh, got it.
14.
Holding you to it, Chris.
And then I know he should have kept Snell in longer, but we can't let one mistake ruin our entire career like it did what's his face from the Red Sox for leaving Pedro Martinez in too long.
Grady Little.
Grady Little. And then my dark horse will be the Jays. I think for the obvious reasons, they made a lot of splashes in the offseason. They already have a really good young core. When We'll see if they can contend in that division. Without 8 teams in the playoffs, I don't see it happening. Going back to the old playoff format, I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, Robbie.
Came out to be what I expected. It's going to go Baltimore, Boston, although it was pretty close to Boston, and then Toronto, Tampa, and then the Yankees. That's what I got.
All right, Rich. Did you do your math?
I did. I added them up. Yankees with 18. That's what I got.
Wow. All right, that's actually a pretty good score.
I have the Yankees with 18, and then the Jays coming in second. Rays.
Wow.
Rays and White Red Sox and O's. I don't really have a dark horse. I think the cream of the crop is going to be the Jays and the Yankees. I don't see anybody beating those two. But if I had to, I guess if I'm not doing a dark horse, if I had to lean towards a particular team, I would take the Yankees.
Really unbiased opinion on that one.
Unbiased journalist over
that's
here.
That's not a dark horse, though. That's the whole thing.
I know. I'm just saying, because I don't see, the Red Sox made really good acquisitions. I'm with Julio on that one. I mean, the Rays still got. I don't think they're a dark horse. I still think they're a contending team. People know who they are.
Yeah.
And then the Orioles are just the Orioles. So, we shall see.
All right, fellas. Thank you for joining us today. That was a longer preview than we expected, but hey, we got it done, and you got some. Our fans got some real analysis on that one. Any last words, or we'll plug your stuff. But any last
Robbie,
comments or anything?
You got anything coming up? You got any illustrious guests? That's all you guys get.
No illustrious guests so far, but we'll have some stuff in the works in the next months, and we'll try and get some other. Maybe we've been reaching out to other baseball influencers, but too many people are just like, Yankees, I gotta stay away. So we'll see what happens. But follow us at Four Savages. Me and my buddy Tyler do the pod, and you'll keep a lookout for anything that we got going on, and also follow you guys.
And on Instagram as well. Instagram
we
just got the last couple weeks.
Yeah, we just got back on the IG, so trying to grow those up.
I look forward to you on running Four Trained Savages TikTok in a few weeks.
Yeah,
I think some Yankee dances for us.
We got some stuff in the work with some people, so we'll see what happens.
I was dishing that up for them, Julio, which you ruined, obviously, for Robbie to jump in and be like, go UConn, because they got a big game coming up on they play Friday or Saturday?
Saturday, baby. Saturday, 12 o'clock. Let's go. No Terps in this. No Terps. Let's go.
What about you, Rich?
Dude, just working, man. Got what do we got going on? Doing some hockey at NBC. Maybe I feel so excluded. I got to get on the podcast bandwagon over here.
You got to make a pod.
I think I'm gonna have to. I mean, I don't even have a microphone. Like, what does that say about me? Come on.
Time to invest. All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody, and we will be back next week previewing the Central Division. So, Julio, what do we always say?
Put the hat on this one. Let's go, Oakland.
Let's go, Yankees.
No, we're not ending on that. Let's go, Oakland.
The Town Tailgate is an independently produced podcast. It is written and executive produced by this guy, Chris Madrigal, and my partner in crime, Julio Reynoso. It is sound mixed and edited by yours truly. Social media management and marketing is run by, once again, my partner, Julio Reynoso. And a special thanks and shout out to my brother, Larry Madrigal, for composing and producing our theme song, as well as graphic designing our album cover and artwork. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Please tune in next week. Please subscribe. And last but not least, as we always say, let's go, Oakland.